Welcome to this DJI Mini 2 DJI Fly App walkthrough, where we're going to take a closer look at some of the new features that you will be getting with your DJI Mini 2. Welcome to another video. I'm Henrik Olsen, and if you want to learn how to make better video with your camera and drone in general, then consider subscribing to my weekly tips, tests and tutorials. Have you already decided to get the Mini 2 by now? Then there are in the description below purchase links for US, Scandinavian and rest of Europe. This morning I released a video about the DJI Fly App update 1.2.0 that was made available yesterday evening. With that version of the app, it was possible for me to activate the Mini 2 and actually get it airborne. For those of you that watched the video, you might have noticed that I was all pumped up and excited before activating the drone, but sort of my mood was sort of declining towards the end because I couldn't find all the great features that I have been hearing about that would be released with the Mini 2. Turned out that it required a firmware update that was made available this morning to utilize or to enable all the great stuff inside the drone. So after I've installed that, I've decided that I wanted to go out and do a first flight video and show you what you can do with the new features. But I don't know what it is with me and going out with testing drones. For the first time, I always end up in a situation where the weather is really crappy. So apart from it's super windy, it's also raining right now. So I can't really go outside, but that shouldn't prevent us from taking a quick tour or walkthrough of the DJI Fly App and show you some of the new features. Just look at this. Come on, you can't fly in a weather like that. Yeah, maybe you can, but you shouldn't. Especially not with a new drone that you don't know fully. All right, let's jump right into the app. So I just noticed launching the app, that's actually another firmware update available here. And it turns out that they forgot to include some sort of a compatibility fix that will allow you to use this remote with the Air 2 or the Air 2 remote with the Mini 2. You can do that if you install this update. We don't need that one right now, so we just skip it for now. Apart from that, everything looks like it's supposed to be. It's the DJI Fly App. There's a nice picture of the drone in the front and a blue button we can press to get into the flight screen, the main flight screen. So this is the layout, and this is more or less designed like we are used to. Now we have a dedicated button here on the remote that will allow us to shift between the different flight modes. And I would assume that you can probably also tap on these. No, you can't tap on these anymore like you could on the previous one. You have the new battery graphics that was introduced with the previous model, so nothing new there. There are the possibility to select between photo, video, quick shots and panoramas. The quick shot and panoramas, we can't access those unless we are airborne. So of course I will cover that in the first flight video that I will do sometimes when the weather is clearing up a bit. Under the photo mode, we have the option for doing a single photo. We can do a 3-shot bracketing photo where one picture is neutral exposure, one is overexposed and one is underexposed. Maybe I can just do one here. And there's the possibility to do time shots. We also had that in the previous one. So the only new thing here is the auto exposure bracketing option, which is a really, really nice addition. So let's see here, we have a video. And on the video, you can do 4K. This is sort of the one of the prime features, apart from the OcuSync 2.0 that gives you the nice connection, is that you can shoot the 4K video. I shot some video this morning that I can just show you here. This clip from this morning was a bit cloudy. The weather was not that fantastic, but at least that would give you some idea of the video quality. You can, if you want to, download video and photo samples that I've uploaded to the Tech Drone Media website through a link in the description below, if you want to study them yourself. So under the video tab, you have the 3 options. You can record the 4K, 2.7K like the previous model, and you can go down to 1080p up to 60 FPS. One of the nice things that were introduced to was the zoom capabilities. And you might notice there is a 1x next to the record button, similar to what you see on the iPhone. And if we press that, you can see now it zooms to a factor 2, and now it zooms to a factor 4. So now you have zoom capabilities with your Mini 2. So that is really nice. You can only do 4 times zoom if you are in 1080p. If you're in 4K, you're limited to 2x zoom. Apart from that, everything else is like we know on the flight screen. There's the histogram, there is some information about how much storage is left on the SD card. There's the exposure compensation value. There's the exposure lock. There's the option to switch between manual and auto settings for the video. You have the map over here, map functionality. And if you have coded the remote correctly, you can double tap the function button to make it switch between the map view and the camera view. That's a pretty nice feature. I'll show you how you set this. I can also single tap it. That way it will flip the gimbal. If I tap it one time, see the gimbal will. So these two shortcuts are pretty handy. So let's jump into the settings here. So here on the first tab, there is nothing of a real big surprise here. There's a max altitude, max distance, auto return to home altitude. That is maybe 100 meters. Maybe that's a little bit too high. I like a return altitude of 40 meters. Like that. So I have a max altitude of 120, that's allowed when you're in the city. Max distance of 2000, I don't like that. So let's just put that down to 500. There's a possibility to update the home point. That is only available when you are airborne. There is always a chance, you always get a chance with your Mini to calibrate the compass. It's so nice that you can do the DJI dance with the drone. Let's just do that, just for the sake of it. So, see if we can do it here inside the car. Maybe that's a really stupid idea. Yeah, it actually worked. There is a slight chance if you do this inside the car that there's some magnetic interference that kind of screws up with the calibration. So I would highly recommend that you do this outside. So there's a compass normal, IMU normal, battery info. There is like this overview of the battery, and you can see how many times it has been charged. And this, of course, it's a brand new drone. There's no charging cycles on this battery. There's the advanced safety settings. Here you can set what is the drone, what it needs to do in case that you lose connection, which will hopefully happen very rarely because you have the OcuSync connection between you and the drone. There's the CSC stick commands, and you don't want to mess with those, at least not when the drone is airborne. If you push the sticks towards the center, the motors will stop, even if it's mid-air. So that could lead to a very big disaster. Okay, so there's nothing really new there. So let's jump in here. Here we start to see something different. We start to see something about a front LED mode. You can of course choose the units in the top line. If we are from here, we like the metrics in kilometers. And if you are from abroad, US or such, you probably like to have everything in imperial. The next two lines are the front LED. And if I take the drone and put it up here so you can see it. So let's, I don't know if it's too close, like this. See, I can select and set this to solid. If I do that, I can change the color of the LED by just tapping these. So if I tap these dots, the color, the corresponding color in the front of the drone will shift. So let's say that I want to make it green. I press the green button and now it should be green. It's green. I can also change the behavior of this to rainbow. Then it will simply cycle through the colors. It's not, oh, that's because it didn't change. Why is it not changing? There seems to be a bug here. It's kind of locked to breathing. Not that it's that important. But the idea is that you should be able to switch between the behavior of the front LED. As a gimbal, do you want it to be follow mode, which is the mode that we are using the most of the time? You can also decide to switch it into FPV mode, and then the camera will follow the movement of the drone. Upward gimbal rotation, that is always a nice thing. So if I want to extend the gimbal rotation above the horizontal level, this option needs to be enabled. So I can go up to, seems I can go up to plus 20 degrees. And just for the sake of it, I can control the gimbal directly on the screen. See, I can move it up and down here just by touching touching with my finger. There's gimbal calibration in case something happens to your gimbal. If it's out of a level or something, you can calibrate it. Then there's the advanced gimbal settings. And this part will make you happy, because you're having a set of parameters for your drone that is tied to each of the 3 flight modes here in the front of the remote. And so you have a set for a normal mode, you have a set for a scene smooth mode, and you have a set for sport mode. And that way you can make the gimbal behave differently depending on what flight mode that you have been choosing. It has taken DJI such a long time to actually release a feature set like that. I think you will benefit greatly from that, because you might want a much faster gimbal just if you want to zip around in sport mode or normal mode until you get into location or have figured out how you want to film. And then when you switch it into Cine Smooth, you can have those buttery smooth motions with the gimbal that will help you record some really great footage. Another thing that they have been adding here to each set of parameters is the yaw speed. And in the previous version, when you're yawing the drone, you often ended up with stuttery and really jerky footage that looked really like crap. And this is simply because the drone is turning too fast, and it's turning so fast combined with a high shutter speed, meaning that you would capture all the micro movements of the drone. And with this setting, you can basically slow down the yaw motion when you are yawing on the left stick. So that's a really nice thing as well. There's the option to charge the phone. That is of course nice, especially because I was down to 20%. And I would probably not have made it through this video if I couldn't tap on or tag along onto the battery of the remote. So, and there's the stick mode, where you can choose how the drone is behaving. This is something that you don't want to mess around with, because most of the world is using mode 2, so we should just leave it there. Then there's the button customization, and this was the function button here that I showed you earlier. So if I toggle it, if I tap it one time, I will be able to recenter the gimbal. If I double tap it, I can toggle the map view. If I like that to be the opposite way around, I simply just go in here and switch it like that. It's very simple. There's only these 2 options right now, but I think DJI will add more options to that later on. So there's calibration and flight tutorials. All right, so now we're jumping into maybe one of the most exciting tabs on the drone. That's the camera tab. So when I'm in here, I have all these options available, and right now by the glimpse of the eye, I can't see the RAW option. So that's kind of what is it with me and RAW? RAW keeps disappearing on me. What did I do wrong? I kind of think I know what I did wrong. It needs to be in photo mode, because when you're switching it into photo mode, the camera options are the ones that are linked to the photo options. So if I go in here again now, under the camera tab, you can see now there is the option to select JPEG or JPEG plus RAW. Below that you can select the 4:3 or the 16:9 ratio. I always shoot my photos in 4:3 because the 16:9 is basically a cropped in version of the 4:3. It offers more opportunities when you're doing your 16:9 picture in post to frame or get the composition right. There is these 2 well known. There's the histogram. There's a graphical representation of the dark and light areas in the image that will help you set the exposure. There's the exposure warning. That's where you get the zebra stripes in areas of the picture that is overexposed. There are grid lines, different types of grid lines. I like the grid where the screen is divided into 9 equally sized squares. This is also called the rule of third, where you use the intersections in this grid to help you optimize your composition. You can auto sync HD photos. That's also an option. You can format your SD card. That's not necessary because I have 117 gigabyte available. And in case that you're thinking about storage for your drone, you can go up to 256 gigabyte storage on the Mini. That will last for a very, very long time. And if you're in the market for a new card, I have listed the cards that I have used successfully in the past. And there are some different options, and you can find links for these in the description below. There's the cache when video recording. This means that the drone stores a low-res version of the footage that you are recording, and you can set the buffer size from anywhere between 2 gigabyte up to 16 gigabyte. Then we have the transmission tab. That is not something that we should mess around with because this is OcuSync, so it will automatically switch between 2.4 and 5.8 depending on the signal quality. And finally, there's the About section, and in here there's nothing apart from that the app version that we're currently running is 1.2.0. The aircraft firmware is 01010000. Because the settings are changing depending on what mode the drone is in, so we just switched it back to video. We can go in here and check if there's any additional options available that we should know about using video. There might be this one. I can't remember if this was visible during the photo mode, but there's the video subtitles, and with the video subtitles enabled, you will have the camera settings stored as subtitles to your video. So if you play your video back in like a player like VLC player or something, and you enable subtitles, you will be able to see exactly. Let's just try it. So as you can see now, you can see the camera settings that I've been using when recording this clip. Just one quick thing that I want to run through just to give you an overview of that as well. We covered the function button up here. We have the 2 sticks that will let you operate the drone. You have the return to home button here, but that also acts as a pause button. So they reintroduced the pause button. So in case that you run into a problem, you can always press the pause button. You have the rocker here, or the selector that can select between smooth, normal and sport mode. And you have the power button, and you have a switch button that will let you switch between video and photo. So it simply jumps between the 2 modes that has last been used in photo and video. You have the power indicator that indicates how much power is left on the remote. Here on the back you have the wheel that will allow you to tilt the gimbal. On the other side you have like the shutter button. Depending on what shooting mode it's in, it either acts as a camera shutter button or video start stop recording. Have you decided to get the Mini 2 yet? Let me know in the comment below. If you are from Denmark, I would highly recommend that you buy your Mini 2 from Drone.dk. They are such awesome guys and always up for a chat if you stop by their shop inside Copenhagen. They also have a workshop that can fix any drone problem that you might encounter. You should definitely check them out through the description below. The walkthrough of the app, we do have one final point, and that is downloading the footage. And in here there is an option to see what's on the aircraft and what is stored locally in the DJI Fly App. Let's just test the download functionality. Let's do a clip that is 4K. It's 30 FPS. I would assume this is the biggest file size, and let's record 10 seconds. So that's 10 seconds like that. And then we jump into download section here. Then we download it. Full download. So that was 126 megabyte in 4K. It downloads with around 5 megabyte per second. So around a half a minute maybe. This is how long it took to download the clip. And in here you have all the usual stuff that you can create, these short clips. You have the editor. I haven't been in here for a long time in the editor, but I actually made a video about the built-in editor of the DJI Fly App, and it actually a very powerful tool. And in case you missed that video, you can access this through this card. Let me know if you have any additional questions for the app. In case you can't get enough of Mini 2 videos, I have compiled a playlist for you with all the videos that I have made around this fantastic drone, and I will be expanding this over the next coming weeks. In case you missed that one, you can access it through this card. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you around.